reached out to Mark. He's the executive director for the Kootenai County Boys and Girls Club. He gave me some homework to do. Part of that is the survey that went out, and that's been posted, I believe, on Facebook, which I don't know if that has or not. Get a rough budget in transportation costs and report that back to them. And then Mark is going to present to his board members the idea of a pilot program for a Friday opportunity for a day camp for Boys and Girls Club here in Priest River. And once I get the survey results and a rough budget put together, I'm going to get on their agenda to present that to them and get used to microphones in my face. If it's a success, we could grow this into summer programs and kids could have a plethora of things to do. If the board votes no, not to help us with the pilot program, Mark said that he would be willing to assist in some training programs and give us like a rough framework of the day camp. Now, if we do that, I need help finding an umbrella organization, a nonprofit who's willing to be a fiscal sponsor so we can begin recruiting funds, which if we get that, it's a nonprofit locally that would be willing to sponsor us, but their mission has to roughly match what we would be doing. I've also been working with Carrie with United Way and assisting me and connecting me with networking possibilities and possible organizations for sponsorship as well as grant opportunities. And there are a lot of grant opportunities. And I know when I worked at Youth Emergency Services, a lot of the funders that were giving us money over there wanted to fund something in Priest River. And our hope is to also have busing. And Neil, do you want to share that really quick? Busing costs?
So I was talking with Daryl Hall at the bus barn. I think it's called the bus barn anymore, but that's what it is. He said $2.88 per mile is what would be used, what it would take to run a bus. That's their driver, maintenance, everything all included is $2.88 a mile. And so look, I just calculated out a couple of routes. If we were to send a bus to Nordman and send a bus to Blanchard and send a bus to like the Bay or the Edgemere Spirit Lake Cutoff intersection, we have those three there. We had estimated cost per Friday on the Blanchard route of $161, the Nordman route $200, and the Bay route $63 per Friday. So if we just do 3 buses, it's not an insurmountable amount of money. It's certainly doable, I would think. And then, we would, depending on how many kids are interested in needing transportation, then we would just adjust fire on however that works. So right now, we're just gathering basic data, and that basic data is $2.88 a mile.
And that money wouldn't come out of the district funds. That money would come out of the funds that we raise for whatever group we end up having, which hopefully we get a Boys and Girls Club. Some of the things that the Boys and Girls Club does are education and career development. They have dropout intervention. I got this off of the Kootenai County website. Career panels and college exploration skills.
Does she need to hold the mic?
I have to hold a mic.
Does she need to hold the mic?
Yes, please.
Okay. College-bound preparation, and then they also have healthy lifestyles, health and fitness groups, nutrition, gardening, cooking classes, self-esteem building, photography, dance, drama, outdoor recreation, and of course sports. We're hoping to provide breakfast and lunch, and staffing will be offering positions to classified staff that want to take on extra positions on Fridays, and also the bus drivers. And then I also was communicating quite a bit with the Friday Friends in Bonners Ferry, which I forgot to tell you on the agenda.
I'm writing it down.
They're working through the U of I Extension Office, and they're willing to help, but they can't blanket us in a nonprofit. I was hoping the University of Idaho could give us that, but if we get a blanket organization to cover us while we're applying, if it's a success, then they're also going to give us program parameters on what they do with their kids on Fridays.
Is that a local group that they've created there?
Yeah. And that's what they did for their, That's what they did for their 4-day school week to help the kids on Fridays. There's also other possibilities, and some of this has come off of community input that we've gathered. Bear Paw Camp and US has a ropes course and a beach. They also have a transportation bus, and Jason is getting me in contact with the camp hosts, so there's possibilities there. There's churches offering activities for children, elementary age, reading, arts and crafts. There's also starting a new daycare. Billy Mullally was supposed to be here to talk about that. He's not here. He proposed that to city council a while back, and he's got contact information for starting a new daycare. And there's also an Idaho expansion grant. Now, this cycle is timed out, but the gal that I was talking to is requesting more funds, and there might be, like the Yount daycare or an existing daycare can apply for a grant hopefully in spring. And then also working on snack bags to give kids to take home for the weekend. And that is what I've been up to, and I'm really hoping that other people have ideas.
We didn't get the food on the agenda either. The cooking during the Friday things.
Oh. Yeah.
Is this planning to take place in the schools? Is that what you're looking at for the location?
For temporary start, it would, and it would just depend on facility use.
And the liability, does
The Boys and Girls Club would have the liability.
so the district isn't liable if anybody got hurt?
No.
Billy's here.
Where'd he go? There he is. Okay, Billy. I didn't see you. Or did you just sneak in? They gave me a microphone. Oh, about the daycare. Sorry, Billy. What about information for the daycare that you proposed to city council a long time ago?
Okay,
I think it's to get on the
this
recording.
is for the recording. It's not to amplify it within the room. It's so they can hear us on the recording.
Okay, because I got a loud voice. So, a year ago, I got involved with a daycare center for the state of Idaho. I wanted to get one here in Priest River. My goal, and I guess I'll just let out of the hat, my goal was to have the city of Priest River run their own daycare center. So I went and designed one, had it all planned out. I talked to the ladies down in Boise, Coeur d'Alene, and there's grant money for it. There's all sorts of support to help build it. My biggest issue was city council said they don't want it. So now it's another avenue. But there's still money funded for it. The plans are still drawn. I still have the plans drawn. Just need a place to put it and build it. And right now, I'm just going to throw it out there. It'd be right around for what I designed, because the way I designed it, because that's what we do at my office. We're looking at probably a $20 million building. But, yes, ma'am.
What was the reason for the no? Did they give you a reason?
So I didn't bring it up into a meeting. I just mentioned it outside a meeting, and the comments were, we don't want to be babysitters. That's a liability to the city. But my goal was that we would the city would hire people, and so if you work at, let's say Steve has a daycare center, because the other, okay, and Steve pays, but but Steve has people working there at $25 an hour. Okay, that's what they're getting paid. That's what he pays them. The city, on the other hand, could pay them $20 an hour, plus they get benefits, retirement, health, all that stuff. So to me, it was a win-win situation, and mine was going to be a 24-hour daycare center, because there's people that work graveyard, people that work different shifts, and they have to find some way to do it. And so that's what my plan was. I still have it all in the works. I mean, I still have it all on paper. It's all still in my head. It's just now it's trying to find a way to get it built. And that's...
A lot
The lot that I built it on was for sale at the time, and I don't know if it still is, and it's the one, and I looked at it this way, it's the one that they, right across from City Hall, there's a parking lot. It used to be the community garden. So I used that lot as my platform, my footprint, and I designed it all out. I mean, it's all set up to go. I mean, matter of fact, one of my interior ladies is going to look at it week after next to see if, to see if there's things in there that she can improve, because I know she'll improve it way. I mean, it takes an interior touch to make it look right. It takes an electrical touch to make it, designed right. It takes an architectural look, because I'll have the architect look at it too. And my firm does pro bono work, so that was the other reason I was going to do it too, because I can get my firm to do some free work. So the drawings themselves, right now, didn't cost anybody anything, because I would just give it to whoever wanted to do it. I mean, they're there, they're drawn up. They don't have a stamp on them yet, because I haven't taken it to my firm to say, because they have to look at them. They have to stamp them. Something like that has to be stamped and engineered. And so, I mean, I've been doing this for 25 years, so I think I've got it pretty close. But that was my idea for a daycare center. The property is still vacant, I know that, but there's other pieces of property somebody could buy. You can't buy it, you cannot have, and I don't know how it happened, but I shouldn't say this, I could be wrong, but I believe you are not able to have a daycare center next to a state highway. So it has to be in. So that was a block in, so it was kind of a variance. So that was my idea.
How does Coeur d'Alene get around that their city is just willing to take on the chance of them being held liable? I don't know.
Well, right now, I could fall down right here and the school's liable. But you're liable for anything. It's just the way people react. I mean, if you take a child to a daycare center, the daycare center has insurance to cover whatever happens. So the city has insurance. I mean, as an individual, if I could afford it myself, I'd do it myself, because I could retire off of something like that. I was looking at the numbers. There's some numbers there. Because even though it costs so much per child, and that was the other thing with being a government agency, we have grants, so like say, again, I'm going to pick on Steve, because I know he can pick on him, but so Steve can't afford to have 2 kids. He can do 1, but can't do 2. We have grants out there that would pay for his kids, because we're a government agency. So those kind of things are out there.
Are there grants to compensate for another insurance to cover that kind of thing?
That I do not know.
That would be interesting, and then just maybe formally take it in front of the board and put some maybe outside friendliness on them through other.
Well, I haven't unofficially given up yet. So unofficially, this isn't even supposed to be out in the open.
Right.
But a lot of people know that I've talked to several people. I talked to Ann Yant, because you can only have to build a daycare center, it's a 5 by 3 foot square per child. And then for infants, it's, and I would not do this to anybody, but it's 6 babies per employee. Now, I would never do that. But that's what the state says we could do, because that's, the status they have. But, I don't know how many babies you would get in there, but, most people have their children at, 7 below, right? That go to daycare. I don't have kids that young anymore, so I don't know. But just from what I've read up and talked about with the other people, it's feasible. It could be done. It's just how to get it done. And when I did the math, because when I do present it to the city, because I'm not done yet, because it was just outside of meeting. It was never on an agenda, so it's not a dead horse. I will have the structure. I'll have the payment plan. The way I've designed it, if every child is in that building 24 hours a day, it's $60,000 a month. So that's $60,000 a month that they would have to put into that building, that wages and such. That's why I say to me it was a win-win situation. We would be employing more people. and we'd be helping out the community. But that's just an idea, and if it doesn't fly, like I said, I'm not done with it, I'll find another way. Because we don't have, I don't know if you guys keep up with stuff, but there's been a proposal of 300 and, I think it was 96 homes being built in Priest River. I mean, we've got developments out at the east side, up on Bodie Canyon, up on the north side, three developments up there. So there's houses being built, so people are going to move here. We only have, what, 1.5 daycares? Something like that, because I know there's one on 57 and then Ann Janssen. That's the only one that I know of in this town. And I know that people are trying to get their kids set somewhere. I mean, I know that because my little cousin, when she got pregnant, she put her name on a list, and her baby's 2 years old now. She's still not in there.
Yeah, there's Storybook Cottage Daycare behind the Burger King in Old Town, and then House of Lord Christian Church has a daycare.
Okay.
They're all cool. Yeah, I don't know.
See, so, but that's where that's at. And I was going to talk about that exactly better, but
No, thank you.
we're good.
I put your name on here. There's also another program I'm working on with the library for teen programming that's set to start this summer, 2 days a week. And if it's a success, the library wants to see that continue, which is also a possibility for Fridays. It would be for 13 to 18 and be hands-on stuff, cooking, gardening, video gaming. Apparently that's popular. And then other ideas that people have brought forward is tutoring opportunities. So maybe some people think that'd be a good idea for seniors and leadership people to take over the cafes and have volunteer hours, help kids with their homework. STEM projects, science camp, scavenger hunts, seasonal outdoor groups, snowshoeing, hiking, skiing, mushroom picking. And these are just community ideas. If anybody has any ideas or if anybody wants to help me, it would be great to have some help with some of this. Anybody have any comments? Yeah.
So ultimately, thinking forward 10 years from now, what kind of a structure are you thinking? A community type structure that has what with it? What is your big dream that you're picturing?
Well, my dream before the 4-day was to have a teen drop-in center with all the resources and fun atmosphere. But with the Friday activity, if we bring in a Boys and Girls Club, we could start out in the school, get the funding. If it's a success, then we could build our own place and have stuff for K through 12. And all through the summer, they'd have, I mean, what do the kids do now? They go to parties and cause trouble, and they need something to do in the summertime. And it would give a lot of college readiness stuff, volunteer hours. It would give arts and crafts to the little kids. There would be a lot of things that our town really needs it.
So when you're thinking of your end goal in mind, for what I'm hearing you say, it's a building for people to meet, a community type center.
It would be a kids club, yeah.
'Cause
So-
ultimately, I'm just thinking of selling it to the community in the past with PTO when we were working on and everybody wants to see that big picture and they want to know what that end result is. It's really helpful to get people to buy in and say, we're going to have our goals to have this structure where kids can come. And we're going to have basketball courts there. And we want to have baseball diamonds so we can have tournaments there. And an aquatic center. I don't agree.
Well, I mean, there's another idea to shoot for. We could work with the Croc Center. That was another dream of mine, is to try to get something like that. And I don't see why we wouldn't be able to do something like that. And that would be, like the one in Port Wayne, yeah, or YMCA. I mean, there's a lot of things we could do. That's a great idea, and we could really use it. And then we could do a Boys and Girls Club out, so it would be both a community environment plus a kids.
It's just easier for people to understand, and they've got something tangible. How many times we've all driven by the Red Cross Center on Port Wayne and you see that structure go wow, that is a beautiful structure that I think needs to have, especially with the baseball diamonds on the backside, but that were already established in there. So just thinking forward future working, that's a way to help sell.
So how far have you dug into the Boys and Girls Club? Because I did some digging. How far did you get into it?
Dig into what they're doing.
No, the steps. There's 10 steps to take to get a Boys and Girls Club.
So you can't, so that,
There are 10 steps to a Boys and Girls Club.
no, there's not. So they stopped starting new Boys and Girls Clubs. You cannot apply to be your own Boys and Girls Club anymore. They stopped that at the time of COVID, I think. So it would be all reliant on the local organization to blanket us and start a pilot program. So we would have to go through all of those steps.
Oh.
So Mark would, if the board, he thinks it's 50-50 right now, which right now with the survey, it looks like 82 people are either yes or maybe, but I mean, there has to be more numbers to convince the board to approve something like that. But if we're able to convince them, and they vote for a yes for a pilot program, he would take me or anybody who wants to apply to be interested for a program manager, and then he said he would drop the program and have a person from the Boys and Girls Club be a mentor for our pilot program, and they would meet every Friday to make sure things went well. And we would just basically be their bridge.
Okay, because I know it depended, because the Boys and Girls Club was another funding foundation. Because like I said, I looked into that one too. But I didn't know they took that out.
Yeah, they stopped, like, all the numbers on the website, and they're all disconnected, and he told me, because they're not allowing any more new organizations.
Yeah.
So to understand, just clear, you need a 501c3 to start this idea.
Well, I mean, technically, we could go off community donations, but it would be nice to some hefty grants.
So to start a 501c3, it can be any 501c3 that is comparable to what your mission is.
If we can find somebody that agrees to be our fiscal manager, then they can blanket us, yes.
So
I've been part of a lot of large music programs that generally have a 501c3 to fund itself. To start it, you have to have your bylaws and your president, secretary, treasurer, and all that. Generally speaking, it's about 5 people to start. You just have to have them meet 4 times a year and publish, I think, in certain circumstances.
The only thing about applying for a 501c3 though is it takes about 6 months, and who knows with right now how long that would take. So we would need an organization to blanket us to start that, so we could start getting the funds coming in, because we don't really have a lot of time.
Right.
But we could still apply while we're waiting, while we're blanketed.
And fiscally, you're looking at meeting 4 times a year to establish it, and this is March. So you would want to try to figure it out.
Someone's moving in,
Yeah.
So do you have a building set up?
We would start out in the school.
So you just need an organization that has a nonprofit.
That's willing to be our fiscal sponsor until we can get covered, yeah.
Okay, I'll ask.
Okay, thank you. Well, that's all I have.
On the school, which school, and then how is that gonna affect with like school activities that?
I would have to look at, well, I would have to look at the schedule. I have no idea how that would work. First, I need to know if they're even gonna go through with it. And if they're not gonna go through with it, then we need to find a blanket organization, because the Friday Friends and the Boys and Girls Club will help us create the program if we have the blanket, if their board denies us, which I don't think they're gonna deny us, because Post Falls is also moving to a 4-day, and they're looking at a pilot program, and Mark just seems pretty excited about the pilot program. So I think if we can get enough interest from the survey, which is why the survey went out, is because he sent me with that homework to see what kind of interest it would be. He doesn't want to put the effort if nobody's going to be there.
So I tried starting a board to fund the music programs in January of this year, and I sent out I sent out an email asking the music parents, which is not too many. I didn't get any response because I think they're just tasked with too much.
Mm-hmm.
But if we had it to a greater community, I think the idea would actually come to fruition. I think we need like 5 people at the end of it.
Take a year.
Right.
I started a 501c3 at the University of Idaho for an on-campus living group, and the paperwork is 27 pages long. By the time you turn that puppy in, it was 500 pages of, questions you had to answer. And then you send it up to, well, ours was because we were, well, the bylaws are different, but then you have this other, you have to do the bylaws first, and then when you do your 501c3, has to go through the IRS, the paperwork is 27 pages. We had somebody from the legal aid clinic helping us write all the paperwork, so it's a very long process starting with 501c3. So you really have to have an umbrella organization for the first year. This is the year that we see how it works, we put it together, and then to answer the long-range plan, you build that long-range plan over the next year because you're going to have to see how it works for this particular community. What works in Coeur d'Alene isn't going to work up here because it's a different demographic, and you've got a lot of different things you're looking at. So you have to do it to cater it towards the specific needs of this community. So I'm not sure you can completely answer the long-range goal until you've been at it for 6 months, maybe a year. Maybe I could be wrong, but it's a good idea to start one.
It'll probably change as it goes along.
Yeah.
Another idea is we have all of these programs for music here, orchestra, drumline. They just don't have funding, right? And so that's why I endeavored in it and saying, oh, I know we have to get funds, and this district is, strapped. So I took it upon myself to go about it. I think it would go hand in hand with what you're doing.
Yeah, it would.
Because it would support my programs, which are going very well. But we've started with 59 students. We have 97 now.
Nice.
Yeah. So it would help them continue. We don't have pianos. We need pianos. I have students that are doubled up. We rotate off of the pianos that we have. The drums, we have 4 of them. And we have many students that just need those programs funded as well. So we can fund that one and the Boys and Girls Club hand in hand. So
We could work on that together. And another thing for the bylaws, United Way has sent out a big group email to everybody that she knows in the northern region, and I think she's hooked me up with so many people. I think I can get help with the bylaws from the Sandpoint Teen Center, Luther Haven. There's a big list here. I don't think that'll be too difficult.
I have a question. First of all, Liz, it's nice to put a name to the face. So
Hi.
I'm Susie Lucky. I was wondering, what would the requirements of the umbrella organization be if you did get one to say yes?
They have to be a fiscal sponsorship, so the money has to go through them. I don't know all of the details on that, and I do know that their mission has to closely align with what we're doing. It can't be something completely different. But I think all the money has to go through them until we get our own tax exemption.
So when you're asking an organization to do that, I'm just thinking of a number of them that I belong to that are the 501(c), and it is a long process to apply.
Mm-hmm.
Would that organization then, that would increase their workload if they would have to be taking care of all the financial part of it?
I'm not sure exactly how that would work, but I'll find out and get back to you on that. I don't know why we couldn't help with that, but it would have to be with them. I'm not
Typically,
sure.
I'm just thinking of the organizations that I belong to. Typically, they're pretty tight on the bookkeeping aspect just because you do have to report so much. So that would be good to, I think, have all that information so when you're asking organizations to be that umbrella, they might be more apt to do it if they know clearly what.
I'll dig in and find out
Yeah,
more details
yeah.
about that.
Thank you.
And I got a question for the whole audience.
Hold on.
And this is a question to everybody.
I got an email from a lady named Katie from down in Boise, and she was talking to me about somebody in Priest River acquired about a daycare center and how to go about doing it. So was it somebody that's here tonight? So I could.
$20 an hour, you bet. I mean, right?
No, because somebody did, and I thought it was Liz because she was talking about it with me too. But so somebody out here in Priest River has actually already got a hold of down south to find out what it takes to get a daycare center going. So I don't know who that was. She couldn't remember the name, and no, I've been working with her, so it wasn't me, but that's why she asked.
Apologize, I've been jumping in and out, but if I've missed this, let me know. What I'm concerned about are the outlying areas. I see this as Priest River centric, and that concerns me because there are students that aren't going to come down here. So really looking at, if you're going to do Fridays, or we're going to do Fridays, is how do we take it out to Blanchard, the community center out there? How do we take it up to Priest Lake? How do we even maybe take it out to Bay or Laclede? Because a lot of students aren't necessarily, just give you a sense is to come here, it is shorter to go to Sandpoint than it is to some places in this district because we're 780 square miles.
So we are looking into busing. Neil shared busing costs. Right now, we're looking at a north. Go ahead.
Pretty basic, simple information. It's $2.88 per mile per bus. So depending on how many kids need transportation, then we would just multiply that out and then multiply that out by every Friday of the year.
And right now, we're just basing it off the survey. I don't know who would need transportation, but that wouldn't come out of the district money. That would come out of whatever money that we raise for. Our club would be paying our buses, or the school district's buses for transportation for the kids that need a ride.
Are you thinking a central location, say from Blanchard, or a central location, or picking up students or Coolin? We have Coolin and Lamb Creek up there, so two different areas.
Right. So what we did, I just did some quick numbers. If we had a central pickup location in Blanchard, that would cost $161 for one bus per day.
And that's out back twice?
So that is actually one trip. So that's a good point. All I did was one trip. So yes. Yes, 2 trips per day would double that number. That's correct. Good point. Nordman, $201. Yes, to get the kids in would be $201, and then to get them back would be another $201.
Thanks for clarifying. Well, you can't bring them to Bruce River, not me.
Well, we could, but I don't know how cool that would be. So yeah, when I was putting those numbers together, I figured, until we know more numbers of how many kids would need transported, I just picked a few central locations up at the lake, and then Blanchard, and then the Edgemere/Spirit Lake cutoff intersection.
And you went Norton, but not Coolin. Coolin would probably be a spur about the same distance. Close, yeah.
Ooh, I get the microphone. So transportation, what about feeding while they're here?
Breakfast and lunch.
So that will be provided. Would it be a part of like a parents pay X amount, kind of like a daycare?
So with Boys and Girls Club, they do charge $10 a day for parents that can, but they have a scholarship account for kids that can't pay. So there's that. But they provide breakfast and lunch for the full day. And then we have church volunteers too. Vicki left, but there's volunteers with the churches that said that they'd be willing to come in and cook lunches on Fridays.
And I can talk about that for a second too, because I talked with Vicki, she's the one who gave me the information, is there's at least 2 churches and the Good Fellows who are willing to support food, because there's a couple of the churches that have food banks, and the Good Fellows can provide money to buy food, and then whichever school we use that cafeteria so that kids can come in and out all day, and they'd be able to get fed just like they would if they were here on any Friday. So if they come, they're here for the day just like they would be if they were at regular school. And food would be included, the churches would be helping, and we'd need community members who'd be willing to come in and cook. and prepare the lunches and do those things as well. So, and tutoring and mentoring is definitely a huge part of it. So I have to stick that piece in, yeah.
So, somebody can correct me if I'm mistaken on this, because mistakes can be corrected, but wrong can't. So I was told that if I have kids in the school and I'm working 7 hours, I got my 40-hour day job in, but I get laid off, so my income comes down, that I need to report that to the school, so then my kids can be on a lower price or even come into the free. So, and I've talked to several people that are out of jobs, and they didn't know that. So how do we get that out there to let people know that? Because I was told also that if that does come in, that the summer free lunch program would be coming back or something like that, because we have so many in need. Thank you.
I'm getting my exercise now.
Yeah, I guess I can move.
That's okay, I'm the exercise.
Yes, to answer that, if the family's income changes throughout the year, at the beginning of the school year, parents are given forms to fill out to apply for either reduced or free, to see if they're eligible for reduced or free breakfast and lunch. And if their income changes anytime during the year, then they can fill the form out and submit it. And the form is, I believe, on the district website. I can speak to myself. I sent out the application again at semester with report cards, but I don't know if everybody else does. And then it does, the number of families that we have gives us our free and reduced count, and that is what the federal government uses to determine Title I funding for our district, as well as then getting the free lunches and things here. And it also affects our internet line. I can't think of the name that it's called, but the E-rate. Yeah. Thank you.
And just to carry on with that, so there's no charge to the students for lunch here? On the Friday thing? On the Friday thing?
No.
Okay.
It would just be provided.
Who had the question?
So then, is the janitorial staff then going to be responsible on Friday to clean up afterwards, or do you hire somebody to come in and do that?
Well, my idea is that we would be cleaning up our own messes on Friday.
I know we touched on this a little bit, but just to clarify, are there any costs to the school district with kind of our initial ideas for Friday?
I think the cost for the school district would be having the utilities on, and I emailed Steffi about what approximate that would be. My goal is to not have any money come out of the district. My goal is to have a nonprofit coverage and be able to raise the funds, which there are a lot of funds for rural areas. I don't see why we wouldn't be able to do that if we get coverage, and be able to just fully fund ourselves and then move into our own building, hopefully.
Thank you. So, and maybe I missed this because I was out earlier. Are you thinking that you would run this program in a school on Fridays? And then my next question would be, would you be using the classrooms, or thinking about that, or where would you house the children? And because I'm guessing that many staff work Saturdays in the classrooms, and I would anticipate, even though the certified will be required to work one Friday a month, that many staff will work on Fridays, their unpaid day, to get ready for the week. So just wondering what your thoughts were on using the school.
I have no idea.
So just giving you some of that information to think about.
All of that is being mulled over at the moment.
Yes, when you're thinking about schools to use, it might be worth surveying
would have to just plan for what we have. I have no idea what that looks like right now.
Hey, Liz, just really quick, is it $10 per kid or per family?
I don't know.
Is it
I guess I don't know that. I'll have to find out. I think it's $10 per kid, but there is scholarship for those that can't afford
Yeah,
it.
just wondering.
I think it's per kid.
This, again, might have been answered, but I'm assuming that you're opening this up to potentially homeschool families as well as everyone?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, again, I kept jumping now.
That question had not been asked yet. So it's basically anyone who lives in the West Bonner County School District who has kids, whether they're in a public school, private school, or homeschool. They can be part of the program, correct?
All ages?
Not younger than kindergarten.
But like, so.
Yeah, school age, K
School
through
age.
12. Yep.
Yep.
Do they have to be enrolled in school?
No.
Because I'm just thinking, like, in kindergarten, you might get kids who turn 5, like my ally turned 5.
No, I think the idea though is just not have toddlers running around. No diapers, yeah.
How long will the day be?
8 to 4. And kids can be dropped off at 10 and picked up at 1. It just depends on the parent's schedule. But 8 to 4 would be the time.
I have another one. You may have addressed this, but what about kids that have special needs? I mean, we do have special needs, and I'm just wondering, how were you thinking of handling those?
So I'm hoping that some classified staff may want to work. I don't know how the Boys and Girls Club goes about it, but I know when I worked for SL Star in the Lakeland School District, I was a contract worker. So I wouldn't mind helping kids that want to be a part of that and getting a contract so they have like a para or rehabilitative intervention specialist to come in and work with them, which would be Medicaid paid for.
So coming into this community as a new person here, one of the things that I was really surprised at is we have that beautiful community center, and we don't have a facility for our youth sports. And so I don't know if there's some way to combine our youth sports and this program and have the fields and have the things like that, and to where we could have a nice place. Because it's hard sometimes to schedule in our gym. I really try to support our youth sports and making sure, and worked with the high school about making sure we have time in our gym for our little kids and making sure that they're not practicing late and that kind of thing. And we've come to a really good agreement, but it would be really nice if there was some place that our kids could practice and have a, like Coeur d'Alene, you drive by those really nice fields. And I just was surprised that we didn't have that. We have beautiful libraries in northern Idaho. It just kind of surprised me that we didn't have that here. So that could be maybe someone that we could work with, because I know most of them are 501 3C's. So.
Okay, that's a good idea. I don't see why we can't make it a whole community thing, like what Annie was saying, where it appeals to everybody, families that want to go do something, and then we just have the Friday 8 to 4 reserved for the 5th day, and then summer activities.
So, the city has acquired Jocelyn Park down here, and it's going to be a few years for when this stuff happens, but they have designed baseball fields. I think there was a soccer field, if I remember right, and they had a building down there for community events. So that's something that's, it's down the road, but it is something that the city has on a plan. And also, they're now surveying property down by the Columbia Bank because I can't remember his name, anyways, he donated a building. It's a huge building, and they thought about when they restructure it down in that area that it would be a gymnasium for basketball and such. So that is actually something, believe it or not, the city is looking into. So.
I have a question. Would the city be willing to back something like this up?
I don't know. I just know what we have on the plans. I don't know what, I don't think the city can get involved in something like this because it's a government agent and a government agent, so I don't think we can get involved. I'm here as a community member. I'm not here representing the city or nothing. I'm here as just Billy Malawi, that's it. So you'd have to take it in front of the council, and then they would vote on it or discuss it or how it would work.
Put it on the agenda.
It just came to my pea brain, so I thought I'd ask it. Any other
What about
questions?
requesting the city for a space?
We don't have any.
Is there any property anywhere in the city that might be utilized?
An empty building?
There's a lot of those. They need work.
There's a lot, the lobby thing on the corner down here, this is for lease.
All the kids are grenade darts and pool.
It's supposed to be a mall, strip mall, at the very end of the strip mall.
Oh.
Sorry.
That way.
There's a new building that says for lease.
behind where the doctor's office is at, is that where you're not
Down by.
With the
By
pizza
Vicky
place.
Ray's, and then it comes this way. Yeah, okay.
Okay, so at the end of Vicky Ray's shopping mall, where the apartments are at, in those buildings, next to that, or across from that.
Bonner saw.
Bonner Saw says for lease, thank you.
Geez, that took the long way to get there.
Yeah. You turn left, it's all the dog, yeah, over there. There's lots of.
So that survey, is that for the Boys and Girls Club, is that to figure out what the numbers would be like? Is that
An
what that's for?
approximate number of interest. Who's interested in utilizing it if it's brought here?
Because that kind of dictate how big of a building we would need, or do we even need that big building? Okay, gotcha.
I think once it,
There's a copy here if anyone needs it.
Send it home to the students.
I do.
Okay, if anyone needs a hand.
Out to all of the parents of students in the school, and
it's on the Facebook page, right?
Someone else needs a copy too.
it was on the Facebook page.
Is
It is on the Facebook page. It's on, I think it's on the district's Facebook page.
And it went out on the 23rd, I think, of February.
And do you have any idea what number, like, Boys and Girls Club would be looking at to be interested?
I know that he wants to see at least 50 or 60 to even propose it.
And we're at 80 now,
I have 40 yeses and 42 maybes right now.
but still, the higher that is, definitely better.
So we need a lot more people to fill out that survey. If you know of somebody who wants to fill out the paper copy, we have paper copies. It is on the district's Facebook page. Is it on the district website, or do we know?
I don't think so.
I don't think it is. I think it's on the district's Facebook page. So, and it's been emailed to all the staff, all the parents, I believe. Staff, okay, okay, that was just parents. So,
not certified classified did get it, but certified did not.
okay.
Okay.
So the more people that fill out that, the easier it's going to be for the Boys and Girls Club to make a decision on whether they can bring the program in. If they only have 200 people who fill out the survey, and you know how big Priest River is, they're going to well, it doesn't look like very many people in the area really want it. So we need it by Friday. No pressure. Just get the word out.
And how many do you currently have?
I think I don't know, because the last time I heard was Monday, and it was 114. That was Monday, and I don't know what's happened. Total response is 114, I think.
So how many do you think?
I think we're going to need,
For them to consider us?
I think we should have at least 50 or 60 yeses. I would like to have 100.
yeah, I
want
think
the
100
board to
yeses.
be overwhelmed with the opportunity in our little community.
So when did the survey start?
I think it was the 23rd, and it closes on the 10th.
And the only
We
reason,
could extend it.
while to get, as we know, it takes a while to get the information around.
Yeah.
And I think if we're going to, promote it, or you want responses back and you want it across, it would be good to, and not everybody's on Facebook. So I think it's important. Facebook. Did I say Facebook?
No, I said Facebook.
Oh, Facebook. But I don't think everybody's on there, so I think if it could be out in the papers, at least to let them know, either a link or just say, if you're interested, contact such and such for the survey. Just, again, trying to give people time to respond. I know you're under a deadline, but I also think it'd be good to
I can
extend
give them the
it.
information now and just tell them we extended the deadline.
Yeah, I think that would be it. I almost would do it to the end of the month. I know that's long, but just try to get the word out through different venues. That would be helpful.
Can we do that, Jackie?
I have one other suggestion about the survey, just some feedback. I had a parent ask me where this survey came from, because it's not always clear when it comes out. In the district, it looks like a red circle and says no, and so many people think it's spam. And so I don't know if Brenna can send it out again and with a different something, so it doesn't look like that, just from the district. The other thing is, where does this survey go? It's a Google form, is that correct? When the survey comes out, it is a Google form?
I'm hoping Brenna's going to give me
And
a pretty pie chart.
who gets that feedback? Because I had a parent say, I don't know where this is coming from, and if it's not going to a district employee, I do not want my physical address out there. And I didn't know the answer. So I said, yeah. I said, well, fill it out without your physical address. And they said, you can't, because it's asterisk, and it won't let you submit if you don't fill out physical address.
It would only ping the letters. It wouldn't ping, it would just ping if it was blank. So they could put, I don't want to.
Well, they could, yeah. Yeah. So I just,
So
yeah, I'm just giving you your, feedback.
no,
That,
and I
so
thought about
people
that,
might have
too.
not filled that out because A, they thought it was spam. B, they didn't know where it was going back to, and then couldn't finish it. That's all I know.
I can answer one part of that, and I know the reason that the address and those things are on there. We don't see that. It all goes directly to a specific office at the district. Is it technology office it goes to? It goes to Brenna's. And that is so that when it comes time to looking at, when you have this many people in Priest Lake who say yes, we have this many people there, and that's the only reason the address is there.
So we know how many buses we need.
So you have to know how many buses.
Sometimes it may be for that, just thinking, the question may have been,
would you need transportation? Where are you from? I guess people just don't want to give out their private information, to be honest,
I get that. I don't give out my information either.
I think it's too late to probably back it off. What you could have done is, you live in the district, are you Priest Lake area, Laclede, Edgemere, Blanchard, check the box that pertains, because, even like Susie was talking about, the, free and reduced lunches, we have people who aren't taking advantage of that, who could, because they don't want their names listed, they don't want them identified. So I think that's something, it's in hindsight one of those things that we learn along the way, but that probably would have helped solve that problem. You still would have gotten numbers, but it would have been
So I can do a
around.
second survey. So that doesn't have to be answered. We can do a second.
It's just, and then do you know, are you going to provide transportation for homeschool kiddos?
Anybody in the district that wants to be a part of the Boys and Girls Club.
Okay, and then, so something just to think about or put in your notes is, I would encourage you to check on the insurance of the transportation pertaining to kids that are not registered in our district. Because we can't put any child on the bus other than the ones who are registered. So on that Friday program, that's just a wondering, if you're going to pick up kids that aren't registered in our district, what's the liability or who covers that? Or are you going to have to cover that?
I will probably have to cover that.
Yeah.
These are great questions and great comments.
There's a lot to think about when you're thinking the programs. There's a lot.
And we're thankful that some principals and some teachers and board members here, because this was a community-started thing, and we have to come to you guys to help us because we don't have all the answers. So thank you very much for your input. Anyone else?
So like on the staffing part, you don't know anything until you know numbers, so you wouldn't know how many like staff. And then is that going to be like a paid staff thing through the Boys and
Staff
Club
would be paid
or Boys and Girls Club?
through whatever club we end up having, yeah.
And that number will come with people, because I'm sure with the ages you want to break out, like you don't want
The
kindergartners
ratio,
with
yeah. I think
high
it's
schoolers.
I think it goes 1 to 6, 1 to 12, and then 1 to 25 for the older kids.
The amount of staff per.
Yeah.
Great question. Any others?
So if anybody wants to help me, I guess I should have handed out my email address, but I think everybody can figure out how to get a hold of me. But I would really like some help and community input, and if you guys talk to anybody and know anybody who wants to help, that would be great. I guess we'll just utilize Jackie to disperse information going forward, and then I can update everybody. I don't know. So this I've been doing by myself, pretty much. I did recruit these fabulous people, Neil and Lindsay and Dell, to help me with.
We meet when we
I
have time.
delegated them. Yeah, I delegated them to help me because I didn't want to sit up here.
You can add me to your email, to your group. You can add us.
Okay. Awesome.
You're Lynn, right?
And then I can, at the next 3C's meeting, let everybody know what the Boys and Girls Club is up to, if they put me on their agenda, or if they voted, because I know he said he was going to mention it to him Wednesday, and he sounded frazzled, so I don't know if he realizes he was mentioning it to him today or next week. So then the vote, I would try to get them to put me on the agenda for the following month for that. But if anybody knows umbrella organizations they want to talk to see for any input, just in case it's a no. But
Or if anybody wants to start a 501c3, I know I can help you because I've done it. Not sure I want to do it again, but I can.
So do you have regular meetings, Liz? Do you have
no, but I can start that. I just haven't had consistent people that want to be a part of it, so I recruited these people. It's not their passion to do the Friday thing. I would like some passionate parents that really want to get engaged and help me. So you could send me an email, and if enough people have interest, we can have regular meetings. I've just been sitting at my table. But that's it. That's all I have, if nobody has any questions.
So are you saying we're done?
We're done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all for coming very much. If some people want to help us clean up, that would be absolutely bodacious. Yeah. I know, you ready? You are the other half of her, right?
No, I'm not the other half of her. You're the other half. That's fun.
No, I don't know. I mean, I met her husband, but I thought